My name is Mr. Yap, and I'm the school principal here. And this is our community meeting on school closure, particularly specifically to Fruitridge. And I know that tonight's conversation is not an easy one. It's a very difficult conversation. And many of you have had opportunities to talk to me either individually or also in our parent coffee donut sessions or small groups in my office. And I just want to thank you because all of you have showed tremendous respect, tremendous responsibility in how we're approaching this subject, and I want to thank you for that. But tonight I want to continue to emphasize and also ask you to make sure that as we proceed through tonight, continue to exemplify the pride and the dignity that we have here in our school site here as we continue to have this conversation around the topic of school closure. But before we start, just a quick reminder to let you know that we have translation services in the back. If you need a headset for translation, please feel free to go back here and grab a headset. And then in addition, we also have childcare available. We have in room 6, childcare for kids between the ages of 2 and 5, and then also in the cafeteria for kids the ages between 6 and 12. So if you have children who need to go there, those places are available. And then at the same time, if you also are looking for restrooms, we have a restroom right out the door here in the hallway. And then the intermediate boys and girls restrooms are out available by the cafeteria. So given that, I'm going to go ahead and introduce our facilitator for tonight, and Ms. Mary Hartman.
Good evening. As Mr. Yao said, I'm Mary Harden-Young, and I have been very fortunate in the past to work with the fabulous staff and principal here at Fruitridge. On behalf of Superintendent Raymond and the Board of Education, I want to thank you for being here tonight, especially to show your support for your school and for your students. Because we have another meeting tonight on this very same topic, our superintendent is splitting his time. He will be beginning the meeting at Mark Hopkins and will be joining us during the meeting this evening. But all of your feedback and your comments are going to be recorded on the sheets of paper to the side and are being video recorded in the back of the room. We will be joined by board members during the evening, and as they come in, we will welcome them and announce them so you will know who they are. I want to first begin by saying that nobody wants to close schools. We know these are the most difficult discussions that we can have, and they are very, very personal for all of us. And because we know this conversation can be emotional and it can be very hard, I'll be asking for your assistance tonight in ensuring that we are respectful of one another during our conversation. I'm going to begin the evening with a brief overview of the district's financial situation that has led us to these difficult decisions. We'll discuss why right-sizing the district is so critically important, the consequences of not taking the action, and what you can expect during this process. But the majority of the evening is set aside for gathering your input. So we'll go through our presentation quickly. This chart is from the California Department of Education. This chart is from the California Department of Education, and it shows that our district lost 5,479 students between the years of 2001-02 and 2011-12. That equates to 160 classrooms of students. We've also lost at least 800 students this school year alone, and we are projected to lose another 800 students next year. There are many reasons for this decline in enrollment, including the aging of our neighborhoods, the lure of new homes in the nearby suburbs, the recession, and also the foreclosure crisis. It should be noted that we're not the only district that's losing school-aged children. California in general has a declining child population due to lower birth rates and fewer newcomers coming to our area. This chart shows Fruit Ridge Elementary's enrollment going back to 96-97. Fruit Ridge hit a high of 766 students in 2001-02. And this year, Fruit Ridge has 310 students. That's a loss of 456 students, or an enrollment loss of nearly 60%. Fruit Ridge is our district's most underutilized school. As we said, no one wants to close schools, but we need to match the number of schools that we have open to the number of students that we serve in our district. We have too many elementary schools that are filled to far less than capacity. That puts a huge strain on our resources, on our staff, and it costs us a lot of money. Here you can see that San Juan Unified, with just about the same number of students, has 13 fewer schools. They have 43 elementary schools and we have 56. Elk Grove Unified, which has about 14,000 more students than our district, has just 39 elementary schools. Declining enrollment makes our district budget problems worse because our funds from the state are based on the number of students that we serve. Because of declining enrollment, state cuts caused by the recession, and a loss of federal funds, our district has had to face 10 years of extreme budget deficits. That's a decade of cuts to programs, to people, and to services. In the last 5 years, we've been forced to cut $146 million in our budget. Last year alone, we had a $28 million deficit, and because of that, we were forced to cut the list that you see before you. Teachers, custodians, librarians, counselors, nurses, social workers, maintenance staff, bus drivers, adult education. And quite frankly, we've run out of places to cut. This chart dramatically illustrates the severity of cuts over the last 11 years. Since 2002-03, we reduced our spending by $216 million because of cuts to our funding. Despite years of cutting, we are expecting another significant deficit for 2013-14 because of declining enrollment and rising costs. If we close these 11 chronically underutilized schools, we will save approximately $2.5 million each year. If we don't close these schools, our budget will still have to be balanced. So let's look again at what we've already cut just this past year. Further cuts to the people and the services that we provide for our students will damage our ability to provide a high-quality education to every student on every campus. So we've heard from many of you, what about Proposition 30? Wasn't that supposed to save our schools? Passage of Proposition 30 saved our district from having to make an additional $15 million cuts in the middle of our year this year. Had Proposition 30 not passed, we would have been forced to close school 2 weeks early. We're all very happy that Proposition 30 passed. But even with Proposition 30, our district still faces declining enrollment, rising costs, and a strain on our resources caused by the operation of too many elementary schools. We are very likely to have another deficit this year. As for measures Q and R, those bond funds cannot be used to balance our budget. The funds from measures Q and R will be used to upgrade and repair your child's new school, as well as the middle school and high school that your students will eventually attend. So how did your school get put on the closure list? This is about our district's financial realities. No one wants school districts to make decisions based on finances alone, but we have to. If we don't deliver a balanced budget to the county every year, we will be forced to be taken over by the state. So since we are forced to make this decision based on our financial reality, that we have dwindling funds due to declining enrollment and our rising costs, we used financial criteria in determining which schools should be closed. We want to make sure that you understand that this is not a judgment about your school. It's not a judgment about the principal, and it's certainly not a judgment about the teachers. We know that you have an amazing principal and staff at Fruit Ridge Elementary School. We know that you love your school, your teachers, and your principals, and that's great because you should. We simply have more schools than we can afford, so the district looked at capacity and used a formula that I'll explain in a few moments to create a list of the most under-enrolled schools. Some schools were removed from the list for one of two reasons. Schools whose enrollment will grow from the closure of another school were taken off. Also, priority schools were removed. The process used for determining capacity was to count all teachable spaces in each school, including extra classrooms, vacant classrooms, or surplus classrooms that could house students but are currently used for things such as child development programs, supplemental teachers' lounges, PE prep rooms, etc. We also removed libraries from the tally. Then it was calculated that they calculated capacity by using current class size limits, including smaller limits for any special education classrooms. We used the same criteria at Fruit Ridge as we did throughout the district. I want to repeat that because it's really very important. The exact same formula was used at every elementary school district-wide to determine capacity. The only fair way to look at this is to use the same yardstick for every school. Using this method, we see that Fruit Ridge could serve a maximum of 1,004 students, but currently serves 310. We have identified 2 new home schools for students based depending on the address of your residence. Oak Ridge Elementary School and Father Keith B. Kinney. Also, Fruit Ridge families will be given priority in the district's open enrollment process. Open enrollment is an opportunity for Fruit Ridge families to apply for spots in schools beyond your neighborhood and to apply for available seats in specialty programs. Students from schools that are recommended for closure will be given priority during the open enrollment process, which begins February 19th and lasts through March 8th. So what is it that we mean when we say given priority in this process? At the end of the open enrollment window, again that's March 8th, your students will be placed in a special lottery available only for you and other students from schools slated for closure. Then, and only then, are other applicants from around the district considered for those available spaces. This is not a first-come, first-served process. Placement is completed at the end of the open enrollment window, after all applications are received, ensuring the priority status for the schools slated for closure. To apply for open enrollment, parents must submit an online application. If you do not have access to the internet, you can use a computer here at the school. You can also walk into the open enrollment registration office on March 6th, 7th, and 8th in our enrollment center located at 5601 47th Avenue. For more information about the open enrollment process, we've provided you information tonight as well as on our website. And you see the website listed here. We know that many of you have concerns about getting your child safely to their new school. And And we want to assure you that the safety of your kids is our #1 priority in this process. We are working with the Sacramento Police Department, our Safe Schools Office, and the City of Sacramento to ensure that all children get to their new schools safely. We are studying traffic patterns and projections, and we're working with our partners on a way to mitigate any challenges that may arise. For all families going into Oak Ridge and Father Keith McKinney, bus transportation will be provided for students to get to their new school. We're also working with the city to identify safe routes for getting to both Oak Ridge and Father Keith McKinney. Some of the benefits for your child at a larger school or a school with a larger number of students include fewer split grade classes. We want to point out that class sizes will remain the same at your new school. A new, larger school would not have larger size classes. There would also be more resources for additional staff and programs for students. With more staff, our teachers have more peers to collaborate with, which helps improve student learning. With fewer campuses to paint, clean, repair, and patrol, the district will be able to provide healthier, safer schools for our students. Larger parent communities provide more opportunities for parent and community involvement. Quite simply, there are more hands to help. For next steps, we will be holding community meetings like this one through February 19th. The Board of Education is scheduled to take action on this issue of closure on February 21st. That's 2 weeks from tomorrow night. Following board action on the 21st, a committee will be appointed to make detailed and thorough recommendations regarding the reuse and repurposing of the closed facilities. Community input will be very important during that process. We are now in the process of forming district-wide and school-level transition teams to work closely with staff and parents in order to mitigate any challenges and to make sure that everyone is taken care of during this transition process. The areas these teams will be focused on include transportation and safety, supporting families, enrollment support, and school culture, to name a few. I know that we've provided a lot of information tonight, so I want to remind everyone that there are printouts that were available when you walked in. They're still available at the back of the room if you want to review this information more carefully at home. I know many of you have come tonight to make comments about this decision, and we want to make sure that we give as many people as possible an opportunity to be heard. In your comments and questions, we hope to hear feedback from you on how we can best support your students and your family during this process. To ensure that we respect each person's opinions and time, we are asking everyone to follow some simple ground rules tonight. You will notice that there are microphones on each side of the room up front. When we are ready to begin, we will ask you to line behind one of them if you would like to make a comment. We will alternate between the two microphones. If you need a Spanish language interpreter, please line up on the left. If you need a Hmong interpreter, please line up on the right, and they will be available to assist you. We ask that you limit your comments to 2 minutes per speaker, because we want to make sure that everyone that's in the room has an opportunity to speak. We do have a timekeeper at the front of the room, so you will know when 2 minutes have elapsed. We know that you might think of something additional that you would like to say after you have sat back down. Please allow everyone an opportunity to speak once before coming up to make an additional comment. If you have additional comments to make, or if you do not wish to speak aloud but you want us to know your input, we have provided comment cards. You see the green signs on the wall, point to them, to allow you to provide your feedback in writing. Please be sure to write clearly and provide your name as well. We understand that there is a lot to say, but we want to make sure that everyone, again, has an equal opportunity to be heard tonight. All questions and responses to all of your questions will be posted on the district website within a week. We will also make sure that you receive the answers to your questions here at Fruitridge as well. You'll notice staff at the front of the room taking notes for tonight's meeting so we can be sure to capture all of your feedback. We are also videotaping tonight's meeting, you can see the camera in the back, to ensure that we capture everything that is said. We have also provided a frequently asked questions document that you received when you walked in, which may address many of the questions that you have tonight. We know that this is an emotional topic. Again, we want to assure enough time for everyone to be able to speak. To that end, we'd ask you to hold your applause or to show silent support so that we can have enough time for everyone to speak. Finally, we will be ending tonight's meeting at 9 p.m. to be respectful of everyone's time and recognizing that tomorrow is a school day. This would be the time that we'll begin public comment. Again, we'll alternate between the microphones, and you may go ahead and line up. We'll work on the volume on that mic. Just
Hello, my name is Felipe, and I don't want this school to be closed down because it has a garden, a library, and it has a program start. And they teach us good, and if you would send us to another school, there would be too much kids in one class, and the teacher couldn't control all of them. Thank you for your time.
thank you. Looks like we're still having some mic difficulties. I'm going to introduce a couple of people who have joined us since we started. We do have a board member, Gustavo Arroyo, in the back of the room. We also have Jay Chenier, who has joined us.
Yeah.
Perfect.
My son is a third grader here. He is diagnosed with ADHD, endocrine resistant developmental delay. This is the first school that has taken the time and care to assist him with these needs and keep him in school. His pediatrician filled out a form to have him homeschooled through home hospital care due to these issues, which would make it hard for him to have the social interactions students need at this age. If this school was to close down, he would probably regress at a new school and it would be the same issues over again. With those issues, it causes me to pick him up at 10, 11 o'clock in the morning so that he misses a lot of the school day. With him having to go to a new school, there's transportation issues with getting him from school at earlier times because of these issues, and regression issues which we don't want him to go through. If he was to stay at this school offers looping for 4th, 5th, and 6th graders, which is an excellent program for somebody with his disabilities and his needs. So if this school was to close, I would either have to take him out of the school district and put him through homeschooling, or he would have to do the home hospital care, which would not give him the issues that he needs around students' interactions. So I wish you would consider students' needs before you close the school.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Evelyn. I am a 5th grader in Mr. Izagari's class. I want to say that I don't want my school closed down. I love this school. I have been at this school since I was in preschool. I feel if you had kids here, you would not want the school to close down, and that is how our parents feel. I love learning at this school. So far, I've earned 6 CST achievement medals, and there are lots of other smart students who have earned a lot at this school. Closing our school and making students who will not help students who have good grades and high CST scores. Here's an idea you should think about. Why can't you just bring other schools here instead of closing our school? Closing our school is not the answer. I ask if you are a good person to please use common sense and do the right thing. Look for other ways to keep our schools open. Don't close Fruit Ridge. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. My name is Mandy Carrillo, for anyone who doesn't know me. I served on the school board as student board member from 2005 to 2006. I'm also an alumni of Fruit Ridge Elementary, went here from kindergarten through 5th grade, and I feel very passionately about the programs and the education that our students receive from this school. Because of this school, I think in a large part, I managed to get into and graduate from UC Santa Cruz. So I know that this school has a lot to offer our students and our young people. I think that this right-sizing plan is putting money first and putting numbers first ahead of our students, when our first pillar in this district is students first. I think that we have programs here at Fruit Ridge that cannot be moved. We have a quarter-acre garden that has been maintained for over 10 years with over 35 producing fruit, nut, and citrus trees that were not taken into consideration. This garden has cost over $25,000 and thousands of man-hours. Mind you, that wasn't district money, that was grant money. That was money from nonprofit organizations and individuals who believe in the programs that we have at this school. We have an excellent strengths music program that's the first of its kind in the district. It's a partnership with the Sacramento Youth Symphony and CSUS, where 66 of our students are learning violin, viola, and cellos to be continued on once they get into middle and high school. These programs are not guaranteed to be at the other schools. I know for a fact that Father Keith B. Kenny does not have a garden program. And I know for a fact that Oak Ridge's garden program and outdoor living laboratory is nothing compared to ours. This is something that cannot be moved, and that should definitely be considered when the district votes, when the board members vote on this matter. It is not a done deal. The board has not decided. They will not decide until the 21st. So keep fighting. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Suzanne Gonzalez. I'm the preschool teacher here at Fruit Ridge. What is known about preschool is that preschool children are more likely to learn to read, then they become better readers than children who never attend preschool. At Fruit Ridge, we teach our kids free reading skills. Children who attend preschool are more likely to graduate from high school and continue to college. At Fruit Ridge Preschool, on the first day of school, I asked the children, where are you going to go to college? It's set in their roots. Children who attend preschool are less likely to need public assistance when they're adults, Enough said. Children who attend preschool are less likely to be incarcerated or arrested when they're older teens and adults, Enough said. At Fruit Ridge Preschool, we do not just educate the children. We offer workshops for parents and families. In these workshops, they learn anything from English to proper nutrition to couponing to save money, dental health, enhancing children's math and science skills, and even how to share a book with a child, or positive discipline, or even nutrition. At Fruit Ridge Preschool, we are unique because we have a garden and teach the children and their families to respect the earth and how to provide food for themselves. This skill is something that is no longer being passed down through generations as it used to be. Here's the catch. A large majority of families who attend preschool at Fruit Ridge walk to school because they don't own a car or have no other means to get to school. No bus is going to take them to school. And I wouldn't trust a bus driver to tend for 44 preschool children. It's just not fair. I would be ashamed if the children in Fruit Ridge area missed out on such a good head start in their education simply because our elected officials decide our school is not worth the money to keep open. Let's make this about the children, not about the money. At Fruit Ridge Preschool, we teach that education is fun and school is a great place to be. And we would like to continue to provide services to children at Fruit Ridge Elementary School, to the families in this area that don't have a way to travel to the alternate schools that were mentioned.
Please don't close our school. Thank you. Hi, I'm Deanna Slutz, mother of Colton Slutz, first grader. He's been here since kindergarten. All right, so from 2004 to 2011, we shared this site with the Language Academy of Sacramento. They paid for the facility uses. Where'd that money go? During this time, the campus was 100% capacity. From 2011 to 2012, some of the site was rented out to the Capitol Institute. This is the very first year we do not have reduced size classes or another school on campus. See, we have 2 play structures and 1 fitness structure students can use at recess and in after-school programs. Fitness structure was donated by the Project Fit America, funded by Better Health in 2008. It was valued at $38,000. We in Hollywood Park were the only elementary schools in the district to receive this grant. Average daily traffic on Martin Luther King between 12th Avenue and Fruit Ridge is 10,000. 10,000 cars travel north and south on MLK every day. Average daily traffic on 44th is 3,000. This is at Fruit Ridge. By the time the traffic makes it to Fruit Ridge, it will have increased significantly. Multiple accidents, including fatalities. December of 2003, a drunk driver struck 2 Christian Brothers students in a hit and run, killing one and injuring the other. So there will be over 3,000 students in a 1-mile stretch on MLK, Oak Ridge, Christian Brothers, Triumph Preschool, KVK, and American Legion. So how are parents without cars supposed to be involved in their students' school? Another thing if I had the time. In kindergarten, my son's teacher, right off the bat, said, "We think your son's ADHD." And I was like, well, I think it may be because he hasn't been socialized. He's never been around other kids, no family members, no preschool. And she says, okay, we'll start the process and we'll get the ball moving. I'll get the school nurse involved. All right, so I talked to his pediatrician. The pediatrician's like, they're full of it. He don't have any problems. I've been his only doctor since he was born. He's fine. So I come back to school. The teacher gets me involved with the nurse. The nurse has me fill out all kinds of paper, makes me aware of all the ADHD signs and everything that goes into it. We filled out all the paperwork and come to find out, my son is ADHD. So he went from being every day in trouble in class in kindergarten because he couldn't pay attention and focus to this year being the top reader in his class. Now, I'm not sure if any other school, if the teachers are going to recognize the signs of ADHD because I don't know how tenured those teachers are. I know at this school they're 10 plus years. As well as the doctor said the nurse's documentation was instrumental in getting my son diagnosed and getting him on medication so he can concentrate in class. Had there not been a nurse at this school, then I don't think my son would have been diagnosed. It could have been several years before they would have been able to say, oh yeah, he's ADHD, it's not a learning disability, it's not discipline problems, it's not socialization problems. Now, like I said, he's a top reader in his class. We don't have nearly the discipline problems that we had. He's not being called every day saying, oh, he's causing problems or disturbances. So they were instrumental in getting my son the help he needed so he can get the education he deserves. And I don't know how other schools would handle this situation or will handle a situation like that in the future, because a lot of them don't value a nurse and they don't fit it into their budget. That's what I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing.
Hi, my name is Diamond. I am really sad that you guys are closing my school down. I am going to be finding a new school. Please don't. I am going to find a new school closer to my house. I am going to be scared because I'm not used to that school. I will miss all of my friends and teachers. Thank you for listening. Have a nice day. Thank you. Sometimes to everyone.
My name is Amber, and I'm a fourth grader at Fruit Ridge Elementary. I am writing this letter because I don't want you to close down Fruit Ridge Elementary. Fruit Ridge Elementary is important to me because I have been here since kindergarten to fourth grade. That's 5 years. I have lost my kinder, first, second, and third grade teacher already. I don't want to lose my fourth. My school is unique since it has a strength program. The school district should close because kids that live far away from here shouldn't have to go farther. Fruit Ridge should stay open because we have a tree here that's been here since World War I. I don't want you to close down Fruit Ridge because it might be the only school with a strength program. Fruit Ridge has a computer lab that kindergartners through sixth graders use. It has math departments that some schools might not have. Finally, my school has a Halloween celebration that preschoolers through sixth graders do that schools also might not have a celebration for Halloween. Sincerely, Andrew White. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Kayvon. Welcome to Cleveland. I am really sad to hear that my school was closing. I have friends here and a good teacher too. The school is going to take care of our garden and our cafeteria, and our garden needs us. What will happen to our library and what will happen to my strength program and our teachers.